Pisces, there comes a moment in life when you keep moving forward, still doing what needs to be done, still listening, still caring. Yet inside, you begin to feel heavier than you ever expected to be. These feelings don't arrive all at once. They build quietly, day after day. From emotions you chose to hold back, from responsibilities you took on, simply because you didn't want anyone else to be hurt. On the outside, everything still looks fine, but deep within, your heart has grown used to carrying more than it truly needs to. This video doesn't offer right or wrong answers. It isn't here to tell you what to believe. It's simply a pause, a quiet space to look back, and to begin. From the moment you realize you've been carrying too much, Pisces, there is a moment in every life that feels strangely familiar, yet hard to explain. It isn't the moment when everything falls apart. It isn't when a major event changes everything overnight. It's the moment you pause in the middle of an ordinary day and suddenly realize you're tired in a way words don't quite capture. You look around, life is still moving, work still needs to be done. People still need you there, listening, understanding. There was no warning sign, just a quiet wait, as if your heart has been carrying too much for far too long. You try to think back. When did it begin? It's hard to pinpoint, because it wasn't one big decision. It was many small choices, made one after another, holding back your own feelings so others could feel at ease, taking on more responsibility even when you were already stretched thin, telling yourself, I can handle this, and continuing to move forward. Pisces carries weight in a very particular way. You don't speak it out loud, you don't complain, you adjust yourself again and again to fit the situation, to fit the people around you. And slowly, almost without noticing, you become the one who is always available. Available to listen, available to understand, available to stay, even when it means placing yourself last. On the outside, you seem perfectly fine. Some even believe you're stronger than you realize. But there's something few people see. How many times you've had to brace yourself just to keep everything balanced? You grow used to smiling, used to saying, it's okay, used to being the one who understands in every situation. Until one day, you notice that the silence inside no longer feels safe. It begins to feel heavy. Heavy like a closed room you've been sitting in for too long without ever opening a window. You don't cry, you're not angry, you simply feel exhausted on a very deep level. It might be an evening where you sit alone, looking at your phone, with no desire to reply to anyone. It might be a morning when getting started takes more effort than it used to. Not because you're weak, but because you've been trying for a very long time. This moment isn't failure, it's an honest signal from within. A reminder that compassion doesn't require abandoning yourself, that love doesn't mean carrying everything on your own shoulders. Pisces, you were never wrong for choosing to live this way. It's how your heart knows how to move through the world. But realizing you've been carrying too much is the first step of awareness. Not to blame yourself, but to begin listening to yourself with greater honesty. And it's from this very quiet moment that the journey of letting go finally has the space to begin. Pisces doesn't carry weight in their hands. You carry it in your heart. No one can see it. It has no clear shape, no measurable weight. And yet, you feel it clearly. You walk into a room and you know right away who isn't okay, even when they're smiling, even when they're speaking as usual. You listen to a single sentence, and you hear what was never said behind it. For Pisces, other people's emotions don't stop at their own boundaries. They touch you, they stay with you, they follow you, and sometimes they move through your thoughts for the rest of the day. You don't do this on purpose. You're not trying to. You simply feel. And because you feel so deeply, you often choose to stay. Actually, you stay to listen a little longer. You stay to endure a little more. You stay because somewhere inside, you believe that if you leave, someone else might feel hurt. You don't call it sacrifice. You call it understanding. But some burdens aren't found in what you do. They live in what you keep, the emotions you never spoke aloud, the thoughts you pushed aside, the boundaries you never set because you didn't want to cause pain. Over time, those things don't disappear. They settle, like fine sand sinking to the bottom of the water. The surface stays calm, but beneath it, the current has already begun to shift. You might not notice right away. Not until your energy no longer feels the same. Things that once felt light now leave you tired. Conversations that used to feel familiar begin to take more from you than you expected. You're still present, you still care, but inside, a part of you is slowly closing in on itself. Emotional weight doesn't knock loudly. It arrives quietly. It takes away your excitement. It takes away small moments of joy. It takes away the feeling of being fully yourself. Not because you're weak, but because you've been carrying what was never meant to be yours. Pisces. There's a gentle truth few people ever say to you. Feeling deeply doesn't mean you're required to keep everything. Understanding others doesn't obligate you to remain in situations that drain you. And having an open heart doesn't mean everything must pass straight through it. Realizing this doesn't make you cold. It allows you to live more honestly within your own rhythm. Right now, you may feel tired without knowing exactly why. Right now, you may only need a pause to ask yourself one simple question. Does this truly need to come with me any longer? That question doesn't demand an immediate answer. It only needs to be asked. Because the moment you realize that not every burden is visible, you take another step forward in learning how to place yourself back where you belong. And from there, a very gentle shift begins to take shape within you. Duoi jai la bandich tieng, an chuan. Meai noimach lien voi fan truok. Juox chin nip, kicho gyong joke, radio, stars podcast, nheo giem dung kam ksuks, kau ngan, de tho, den han. Tone, nam, tram, kishu young. Lately, a very subtle change has been taking place inside you. Not everyone notices it. Even you need time to find the right words for it. You don't react as strongly as you once did. It's just things that used to pull long explanations out of you now pass by, leaving behind a quiet space within. You no longer hold on to everything at all costs. Not because you care less, but because you're beginning to realize your energy can't support everything anymore. And that feeling doesn't carry the weight of giving up. It's like the moment you set a heavy bag down after walking for far too long. Not because the road has ended, but because your shoulders need to soften. This exhaustion doesn't come from weakness. It comes from having lived fully as someone who feels deeply. You've listened to too many stories, stood beside too many emotions, placed other people's needs first for so long that you forgot what it feels like to choose yourself. When you finally pause, a gentle truth begins to surface. Not everything you feel is something you're meant to carry. Not everyone who enters your life needs you to become their rescuer. And love doesn't always require being emptied out completely. These realizations aren't here to make you distant. They're here to guide you back to balance. You begin choosing silence instead of long explanations. You step away from conversations that leave your heart feeling heavy. You allow yourself not to respond right away, not to decide immediately, not to always be available. Each small choice becomes a quiet, honest whisper to yourself. I need room to breathe. Some people may not understand. There may be surprised looks or questions without answers, but you no longer feel the need to justify every move. Because deep down, you know you're doing what's necessary. Letting go, in this season, isn't about abandoning responsibility. It's a clear awareness of the limits of the heart. Your heart is vast, but even the ocean needs its shores to keep from spilling everywhere. When you stop fighting the exhaustion, you don't sink. You rise. You rise to see how far you've already come. You rise to recognize what deserves to stay, and what can be set down, gently, without judgment. A new kind of calm begins to take shape in the way you respond to the world. You no longer need to prove your strength, no longer need to be the one who's always ready. You only need to show up with honesty. And that honesty opens another door, a door that leads to a rhythm of living more aligned with your heart, a place where you still love, still feel deeply, but no longer lose yourself in the process. This is when awareness takes form, not dramatic, not on display, just a clear knowing that you don't need to fight anymore. And from this moment forward, a different way of living begins to quietly take root within you. The most important movements in life rarely arrive with applause. They don't need bright lights. They don't need witnesses. They come in their own way, soft enough that only someone who is listening will notice. It might be a morning when you open your eyes and the tightness in your chest is no longer there. The day begins as it always does, yet your breathing feels steadier, your thoughts less crowded. Not because everything is suddenly resolved, but because you've moved those things away from the center of your heart, just far enough to make room for peace to sit. A conversation unfolds, and this time, you don't feel drained. You listen, without letting someone else's emotions spill past your boundaries. You stay present without disappearing inside it. The difference is subtle. It doesn't change the entire scene. It only changes how you stand within it. A small decision appears, not the kind that pleases everyone, just the kind that leaves you feeling lighter. No long explanations needed, no arguments to defend your choice. Just a quiet okay spoken to yourself. A new season often begins this way, not through noise, but through inner agreement. You notice you're no longer being pulled in every direction. Things that once demanded an instant reaction are now set down, left to rest for a moment before being touched again. Not because you don't care, but because you've learned when and where to give your energy. Some problems still exist, some questions remain unanswered, but they no longer occupy the center. They step aside, like clouds making space for the sky to breathe. You begin to trust your own rhythm more. No need to keep up with someone else's pace. No need to react to outside expectations. Just moving forward with enough clarity to feel grounded. Clear in knowing the heart must be protected to keep loving. Clear in knowing peace isn't a reward, but a choice practiced daily. There are moments when you sit alone and realize you no longer feel empty. The quiet is no longer frightening. It becomes a place you return to sort through your thoughts, to listen for what truly matters. These changes don't ask you to become someone else. They simply invite you back to your rightful place. A place where you still feel deeply, still love, fully, yet remain anchored to your foundation. A new season doesn't need promises. It only needs space. Space for you to breathe. Space for old things to fall away naturally. Space for lightness to take its place. And when that space appears, you realize something simple. Peace isn't when everything is perfect. Peace is when you no longer place everything on your heart at the same time. From here, a different way of living begins to take shape. Not loudly, not for display, just quiet enough to let you keep walking with a lighter heart. The lesson of this season isn't about becoming tougher. It's about softening in the right places. Not softening into weakness, but softening so you stop hurting yourself. There's a familiar belief that growing up means enduring more. That strength means continuing forward, even when something inside is asking for rest. And then, you begin to see it differently. True endurance doesn't come from forcing yourself ahead. It comes from the ability to listen when the heart signals that it needs care. Allowing yourself to rest isn't avoidance. It's an honest act. Resting to look back at what has been draining your energy the most. Resting to recognize how long you've been trying. Some messages don't need an immediate reply. Some decisions don't need to be made right away. Some invitations feel lighter when you choose to decline. As you begin to allow these things, a new boundary forms. Not a boundary to shut others out, but a boundary meant to protect you. You stop showing up in every situation. You stop explaining yourself just to be understood. You stop carrying emotional responsibility that was never yours to hold. This shift doesn't make you distant. It makes you clear. Clear in the way you say yes. Clear in the way you say no. Clear about what deserves to remain in your life. And that clarity brings something unfamiliar. The feeling of standing upright inside your own life. There may be reactions. There may be puzzled looks. Not everyone recognizes this version of you, but you no longer feel the need to convince anyone. Because peace doesn't require proof. As you become gentler with yourself, the energy around you begins to shift. Relationships built on depletion naturally fall back. Connections grounded in respect remain, steadier than before. You start to attract conversations that don't put you on defense. Moments of quiet that don't feel lonely. Ordinary moments that still feel full. Being gentle with yourself isn't indulgence. It's understanding your limits and acting from that understanding. You still care, you still feel deeply, but you no longer allow other people's emotions to determine your inner state. A quiet sense of self-respect begins to take shape through each small choice. You rest when rest is needed. You step away when things feel heavy. You stay where you feel safe, not to control everything, but to live in alignment with your inner rhythm. This lesson isn't learned in a single day. It arrives through attempts and the relief you feel afterward, through evenings when being alone no longer feels empty, through mornings that begin with just enough clarity. Being gentle with yourself is how you tell the world, I am worthy of peace. And when you live from that awareness, life doesn't need to change all at once. Only the way you show up does. From there, a new chapter opens, not through promises, but through a quiet consistency between what you feel and how you choose to live. Doi jaila bandich tieng an chuan, mai juach giumach, kam shuts lien mach, chin hip cho gyong jok radio gach cheo podcast. Nhieu giem dung kam exuk kau ngan de tho den han. Tone nam tram ke chuyen. No one can say for certain what's waiting ahead. Life rarely hands us a clear map, but there are seasons that don't ask for explanations. They're felt through your breath, through the smallest shifts in how you show up each day. Lately, you may have noticed something like that. A sense of lightness beginning to slip into the smaller spaces of your life, not suddenly, not in a way that overwhelms you. It's like morning light touching the surface of water, and just enough to help you see more clearly what's right in front of you. You no longer wake up bracing yourself from the very start of the day, no longer carrying the pressure to be the good enough version for everyone else. The day still has its responsibilities. Relationships continue to move forward, but you enter them now with just enough distance to breathe. There are moments when you realize you don't need to explain as much anymore. You don't need to carry other people's emotions throughout the entire day. Not because you care less, but because you finally set the weight down. You begin to understand that carrying everything alone isn't the measure of love. Sharing, setting things down, choosing again. These don't make you weaker. They allow you to be more fully present in your own life. This lighter season doesn't come with promises. It doesn't claim that everything ahead will be easy. It simply opens a space where you no longer have to hold yourself together constantly. Space to breathe more deeply. Space to see more clearly what truly matters. There may still be questions. There may still be stretches of the road you can't fully see yet, but you no longer feel the need to run. You walk at your own pace, steadier, clearer. Within that rhythm, you learn how to stay with the present without dragging the past along. You learn how to look forward without forcing yourself to have all the answers. A quiet sense of trust begins to form. Trust in your own perceptions. Trust that setting boundaries doesn't take love away. Trust that peace grows from small choices repeated each day. You no longer need to prove how much you've endured. No need to recount everything you've carried. You simply live a little differently, a little lighter. And when you live this way, what aligns with you naturally stays. What no longer resonates gently moves on. No forcing, no need to label right or wrong. This lighter season doesn't arrive loudly. It's quiet enough for you to hear your true voice. Clear enough to remind you that you don't need to return to old ways of living just to keep someone else comfortable. Pisces. If you find yourself standing at that threshold right now, between carrying on or setting things down, remember this: you don't have to walk alone anymore. Allowing yourself to feel lighter is already a deeply courageous choice, and sometimes that alone is a beginning beautiful enough for the road ahead.